really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I saw Mooney's back. It's a big deal. We'll see about Latu. Some suggest Latu. We'll see. Coming up this weekend for the return of Leatu Latu. Colts back at it. Colts get Tennessee coming up on Sunday. And I put normally a great deal of importance in games in the early season because to me, this team has always been, especially in the non-Manning era, playing catch-up. Trying to get hot at the end of the year, trying to punch their way through at the end of the year. Now, I understand that this is kind of a double-edged sword situation of sorts here because you always want to be playing your best at the end of the year, but oftentimes you can look back in the rear view and notice that the work that you do early in the season turns out to get you ultimately where you want to go. And I don't know if this is going to end up being true. However, if you look around the AFC South, and even including the Colts, there is so much that is up for debate and question. If you can start 3-0, now mind you, 3-0 teams that start, over 70% of those end up making the postseason. I could be wrong about this. But I look at it further down the road. I think that within the AFC South this season, the way that it looks so far, that stat can be even more magnified if you're the Colts and you start 3-0. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Titans are an easy mark and it's going to be easy going to Nashville. It's the first road game. However, there are a lot of things that are playing into the Colts' favor that, let's face it, who gives a damn what moment in the season this might be? Simply put, you have to take advantage of it. And we all joke around about my must-wins in week number 1. Must-win situation guy all the time. I think I'm called a rabble-rouser, or I don't even know what the hell that is. I think I heard it once on Andy Griffith. However, I can tell you this. To start out 3-0 and to be able to navigate the season after that from a penthouse seat and not trying to work your way up, I will always understand when you say, well, you have to be playing your best at the end of the year. That's okay. But you know what? We've seen in the past this team playing really well at the end of the year. You're going to say, well, what year was that? Hey, the year of Carson Wentz? Who was going to, by the way, start this weekend for Minnesota, but the year of Carson Wentz, you could not have asked for a better situation going into the final 2 weeks of the season. Everybody across the NFL landscape was talking about this team and the opportunity. Well, you know what? When the postseason starts, I don't know if you want to play this Colts team as well as they're playing. Did you watch them? On Christmas night, going into Arizona, doing what they did in Glendale to the Cardinals. Remember, that was COVID, and they had some backup dudes in there. And then those final 2 weeks of the season hit, one at home, and then notoriously the one in Jacksonville, where the late Jim Irsay basically didn't let Carson Wentz, or didn't want Carson Wentz to fly back on the team plane. And it all dissolved. Gardner Minshew had a moment. Tyler Goodson had a moment. to where you make a play here or there and you punch your way into the postseason late in the season. And it didn't happen. I, for one, in a season that in the first 2 weeks looks unlike what we have witnessed here in recent history, via mediocrity or less than, I would love to see this team be able to play from in front. That's where they are right now, and you can take even more of an advantage with that coming up on Sunday. I'm not going to get ahead and talk about Southern California because I know the Rams are a good team. And listen, I'm not sidestepping the Tennessee Titans whatsoever. What I'm trying to do is lay claim to the fact that this game holds a great deal of importance for the Colts because you start 3-0, and the numbers don't lie in the past. You start 3-0, and you really set yourself up on a path to get to the postseason. And then you combine that with what we have seen out of these other AFC South teams so far. It is important to win if for nothing else you lay claim to the top spot, and then everybody else has to run you down in that division. And granted, outside of Tennessee, you still have to play everybody else, both Jacksonville and Houston twice as division foes, division rivals, but you set yourself up in a position that we have not seen in a while, and I'll be damned, I can sit here and tell you right now, that's enviable. That should be a goal, and that's not a goal that anybody's going to talk about because everybody's going to talk about the moment, the now, and not get ahead of yourself. But there's zero way you can't look at this and just magnify the importance of Sunday. I know it's a divisional game anyway, right? But it is a team that, let's just face it, you can view in the first 2 weeks of the season as being very beatable. We thought maybe the Colts were going to be in this situation, but frankly, the Colts look a hell of a lot better than a lot of people thought they were going to look. So take advantage of it. Put yourself in that particular position within the division and then let everybody for once in a damn while play catch up to you and not the other way around. That's why I hold this weekend in high regard, in a high level of importance. There's a lot of new and freshness with this group right here. Like week number 1, it was the defense we talked about. It really wasn't week number 2 with the defense. But week number 1, we talked about the defense, and certainly Daniel Jones. I think I saw him ranked in the top 5 in quarterbacks in the first 2 weeks of the season. Listen, this doesn't tell the tale of the tape for the season in its entirety, but getting off to a good start is important. Like, better than getting off to a blankety start. Much more important. That's kind of what everybody's used to around here. So if you're going to be flipping some scripts, then flip this one. If you're going to go new and fresh and be believable, take this path. How many of you would be off the charts thrilled? I kind of sound like an old school 30 for 30 promo right here. What if I told you the Colts would start 3-0? And you know me with my usage of the term sports arousal. How aroused would you be, friends of the Colts, fans of the Colts out there? Not much more you can get, right? I mean, everything other than defensively and decision-making from the head coach notwithstanding. Yeah, I know they were lucky to win, but they did. It does say 2-0. It doesn't say, well, they're 1-1 or they're 2-0, but they're lucky to win. I mean, that doesn't go into – that's not a tie-breaking equation when it comes to the postseason. Somebody asked me the other day, what are you looking for out of this group after this 2-0 start? I am looking for them to play off of this 2-0 start. That's what you look forward to on Sunday, playing off of that. There have been a lot of steps made and a lot of reason to believe. I think another aspect of the reason to believe category with this team is being able to learn from missteps. First of all, it was surviving those missteps, whether it was defensively or coaching decision-making. You survived those particular lows in week number 2, or as I mentioned, those missteps. You survived that. So what's the next step that we haven't seen here in recent history? It is being able to learn from that and correct those mistakes. Taking advantage of a situation. Man, how many times have we seen them not do that? There's a little bit of something I think that is magnified about every single week of an NFL season. You can find it. I know the mathematicians out there, the dorks, aren't going to find it. They're going to tell you that there's still look at the math, just do the math. There's still an opportunity. Nothing's must win. But with the fan base, we know this to be true. There's still a believability factor. But what you do, you start 3-0, and then you go to Southern California and see what happens against a good team on the road, which the Rams are. Quality team on the road. That is what we'll be talking about next week if they're 3-0. You know, the gauge. This is pretty decent gauge on the road. Normally I know at SoFi, whether it's the Rams or the Chargers, nobody really cares that much. That's too much to do in Southern California, I get it. They like it, right? But, they don't care. They're not over the top like a lot of other teams and their fan bases are throughout the NFL. But if you go 3-0, that's going to be a very, very good gauge in the first month of the season, like a benchmark. And that's what this team is about, trying to prove to you that this is not the same old, same old. In a lot of ways, they've done that so far. I'm just interested to see this group try to maintain that against the Tennessee team that I'm not going to suggest is an easy mark at home, but let's just say this, they are a beatable team. Now, you don't mind finding that on your schedule in week number 3. If you're going to embark on your first road test of the season, and it's Tennessee with a rookie quarterback and a team starting the season off of 0-2, when also you think about this, for example, you have the opportunity to start 3-0 and then 2 teams within your division to start 0-3. Holy crap. That's what I call trying to navigate from ahead. That's the significance of just the 3rd week in this NFL season for the Colts. We discussed that with Kevin Bowen. That's coming up at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. I also want to hit on IU and Illinois because that is a game. When you look around the landscape of college football this weekend, that is one of the larger games, without question. And you have 2 teams that I think most people believe are relatively similar. So where do you give the nod here? Is the nod just simply put the home field advantage that IU will have? And this is incredibly important for IU because on the backside of this, you go to Iowa City, you go to Kinnick and take on the Hawkeyes, and then you go to Eugene and play Oregon, a top 10 team, top 6 team in this case in the nation. So again, I know that Kurt Cignetti talks about this all the time. He doesn't want to hear about last year. Last year has nothing to do with this year, and that's okay. That's a great message to have. But what does this year have for a team that is very similar? Like, I would suggest this. It was a home game against Old Dominion. Old Dominion looks like a much better win than I think what anybody thought. That was what Kurt Cignetti was trying to explain, if you remember, before the start of the season, talking about what Old Dominion did against South Carolina the year prior, and then Old Dominion, after losing in week number 1 against IU, goes out and beats Virginia Tech and gets their coach fired 2 weeks later. And Illinois is a program with an established but has had some troubles, at least in the past, but an established head coach is a good head coach in Brett Bielema. I mentioned yesterday, and we'll talk about this later on in the show, their quarterbacks, Altmaier and Mendoza, for the Illini and for the Hoosiers, respectively. You look at their numbers, and it is like weird as hell how similar they are. And I have no idea how similar they are and what they do, their approach offensively or anything like that, but their numbers are eerily similar. We talked about that yesterday with Zach Osterman. Today we bring that up because it is one of the games of the week. It is weird to say that, but you Hoosier fans got used to that last year, and that is great. You can get used to it again this year. The IU football program is a part of one of the bigger matchups, if not the biggest matchup of the college football weekend, which is awesome. And Bloomington, normally this time of year, Bloomington is fantastic anyway. I cannot imagine how great this weekend is going to be down there. We'll talk to Danny Canel of SiriusXM. Danny and Dusty, I think, weekday mornings on SiriusXM, their college sports channel. We'll talk to Danny Canel, the former both college and NFL quarterback. He talks often about IU, the football program, Kurt Cignetti, where it has been. He's going to have a very good breakdown of this matchup and then some coming up with us in the 5 o'clock hour. Danny Canel, plus Danny Canel can talk about it from a wagering angle as well, which always works for you. Kevin Bowen and Danny Canel on the show later on today. Fever get it done last night. I think everybody expected that with the team that we have witnessed so far this year, even down all the bodies. The team that we have witnessed all season long fights like they fought last night. That's good. Even that first-round series with Atlanta at a game apiece, the decisive Game 3, that is tomorrow night down in Atlanta. So I was entertained by that, and I went and played a little hoop on my own and then came back home. The ending of the Storm and the Aces game was quite outstanding, too. Skylar Diggins from South Bend, Indiana, can still play at a high level the game of basketball. And Jackie Young on the other side from Princeton. Man, I always love to see the state of Indiana, especially because I love basketball, have such a profound impact in that game on all levels, especially professionally. Yeah, you did witness that last night if you stayed up to watch that ending. Down 12 with about 3 and some change to go, and a come-from-behind win for the Storm against the Aces. That was fun, and Skylar Diggins played just as significant of a role as you might hope a former Hoosier State high school star might do. A little Fever with Bowen can shed some light on that as well, I'm sure. Also out at Colts practice today. The return of Moody still in concussion protocol. To me, I think that he's a huge difference. One of the reasons I got so fired up, you know how I feel about Cam Bynum. I compared Cam Bynum and how he fits on that team and how he fits in this market to that of Obi Toppin, how he fits with the Pacers and how he fits in this market. Absolutely perfect. They're perfect. And they play well, by the way, too, which also I think adds to that. But Charvarius Ward is right there with me as well. And he was a big missing piece last week. Looks like he's on the path to return. We shall see. I don't know about Leatu Latu. Certainly more question there. Hey, tomorrow we fire things up. Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. I'm really going to have to make up for just a craptacular week. All the way around last week. What the hell happened? I was feeling so good in week number 1. And then the walls crashed in on me. The floor gave way. My pick. I was 11-5 in week 1. I'm going to be lucky to be 500 in week 2. I haven't even checked. I don't want to look. So used to this time of year as we roll into October. I don't think they still do this in school. We used to get something called a smoke up, James. You know what smoke ups are?
I think what I'm
Did you
thinking
call
of
them
is
that?
very different than what you're thinking of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you smoke it up with all your buddies over there all the
There it
time,
is.
I'm sure. But no, a smoke up in my era was the halfway point grade check that you get in school when I was in elementary and junior high and in high school. So we don't get a week off for fall break. We got in-service days, and that was enough because all we basically did was go out and do Halloween type of things. You know, in-service days, we got Thursday and Friday off. I think the faculty had to go in at school, and the students all got those days off, and we went out and soaped windows and threw corn at cars and got shot at and stuff. All the hillbillies did back then.
That kind of escalated right there at the end with
It
the
did.
getting shot at.
I got shot. Well, you know, it is incredibly uncool. Like, there are a lot of things I did back in my day that I would go to jail for very, very quickly now. But yeah, it was always kind of, you throw corn at cars when they pass by. And we're not at that point yet. That's in mid to late October. But the in-service days meant smoke-ups came out, so they sent a letter home if you were not doing well in a class. So as you can tell, I still have, to this day, a stack of those letters
kept
at
them.
home. Well, I always got grounded because I always got smoke-ups. Hey, he's not doing great in algebra. Hey, he's not doing great in geometry. Well, really, because I can't do math, right? And so, you know, my mom's a teacher at Bedford North Lawrence and puts a hammer down, and everybody else goes out and corns cars and soap windows, and I got to sit at home because I'm grounded because my grades suck. Those are smoke-ups.
I just like that you kept the
I
records
got
of
everything.
these.
Oh, man, I got everything.
Oh, man.
Everything. Smoke-ups. Yeah, we didn't have the fall break like everybody has now. You got like a week of fall break. We had 2 days, Thursday and Friday, but they were glorious. That's kind of what this time represents. The other thing is I love driving around and seeing harvest time. It's an aspect that's somewhat forgotten, I think, in our era now. It is just how important our farmers are. That farm here that maintain that, whether it's a family business or just doing it in general. And I always love driving around and seeing, you know, the farmers harvest their crop. Always pretty cool to me this time of year. But the smoke-ups, I was always ground. Always. I don't know if there was a year in the 80s I wasn't ground. Well, I mean, 89 was already in college. 88, 89, I guess. But all those other years in the 80s, Nobby's grounded. You can't do that. Plus, when I go out and corn cars, my dog would always go with me. So anybody that saw my dog, hey, well, John must be out there because there's this dumbass dog out in the field right next to him. Yeah. My dog followed me everywhere. This time of year, those memories. All right, quick break. We'll come back. I mentioned Lark City Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Got off on that tangent there, my bad. Tomorrow's going to be at the District Tap or at Clearwater Crossing on the north side. Would love to see you there. Me and Brent Holverson and Michael, the owner, making our Week 3 picks, which for me have to be much better than Week number 2. And then Bud Light Blue Friday with Raiders tickets at Twin Peaks and Castleton, Northeast Side. That is coming up on Friday, so a lot of opportunity for you to join us. And I've got some other stuff coming up, too, that you guys will want to, I promise, to be involved in. We shall talk about that coming up. Kevin Bowen, Danny Canel, me and you at 239-1070. The stream, the app, HD Radio, 317-239-1070. That is the text line if you want to get in some messages there. We will take those to AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member today. Got your back 24/7, 365 on the open road. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Well, not really. I felt it on my leg. Come on, I don't want to see it.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
James, this is a great Eddie song. JMV Takeover Saturday night on B1057. That's Morrissey right there. Morrissey and Johnny Marr of the Smiths, James, 1984 B-side, I believe. Their most popular, most noted song, the Smiths, How Soon Is Now, on the B-side, which is pretty amazing right there. JMV Takeover Saturday night's going to have that for you and then some. No doubt about that. Plus, if you're going to be at the game and tailgating down in Bloomington or, going in the game, before you go in, make sure you crank us up that. I'll provide your tailgating soundtrack. How about that? That's what I'll do. Gritty writes this: I'm heading to Bloomington Friday, taking my niece out for lunch, and then pre-gaming Gritty. Bloomington this time of year is great. When there is a high-level football game in town this time of year in Bloomington, yeah. That's going to be awesome. IU wins, it's even more awesome. But growing up in and around that area and knowing this, especially going back to those Mallory years of 87, 88, the really good Mallory years, when you have an important game in Bloomington, it is one hell of a good time. That is a true story right there. JMV, what do you think the importance of the Colts starting 3-0 would be as it pertains to the rest of the division? I almost feel comfortable, and this is way, way before, but you guys know me to be this way. I will be absolutely, I know Jacksonville still has the opportunity to remain close, but when you have two of the four within the division start 0-3 and you start 3-0, I don't know how much better of an opportunity you would have. And even knowing what recent history has been for this team and a high level of disappointment. But when's the last time they were allowed to play from in front like that and create those positive circumstances? JMV, I think they should extend Daniel Jones sooner rather than later. Here's why I don't think that is any sort of issue right now, because if he continues to play at or near this level and they flip the script on what we have seen in the past, they return to the postseason, they win the division for the first time since 2014. If all this happens, they would be outside their mind not to bring him back. He'd be outside his mind not to come back. Especially after 6 seasons of 20 games under 500 in that rear-end toilet of New York City with the Giants. Seriously. After being through that for 6 years, and then let's just say the first 2 weeks of the season is a pretty good baseline of what you see from him and this team for the remainder of the season. We have to view this hypothetically. That's the only way to view it. But, yeah, I mean, you'd have to be crazy. You want to go away from this. I mean, you should probably, want to have your house in the neighborhood or right next door to Shane Steichen in this case, too. That would be my opinion on that. JMV, the Colts have been in the upper quartile of disappointment in recent memory. There is no doubt about that. Hopefully, this different feel through the first 2 weeks of the season is something that is sustainable. JMV, would you mind sharing how many calories you eat per day? I'm impressed with your weight loss. This is from Dan, So I think recently it hasn't been this much, but I know that initially the first 7 or so months, I was hovering around 1,200 calories a day. Now, I eat the same thing over and over and over, whether it's cottage cheese or Greek yogurt or tuna. I live on an incredibly high-protein diet, and I don't eat a lot of things. Now, I probably balance that out because I still do, as we hang out, I hang out, thus I drink. I'm not like Dean Martin Jr. or anything like that. But I am a social drinker, so I do balance out the two as best I can. And there is some work you need to put in for it, too. It's just not like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take this injection. And, it is going to help you. It will curb your appetite, but you can really expedite the process if you do something on your own. And I've done some stuff on my own, too. It has been fun. And I can certainly tell you, I go by high protein. Now, I will say this, cantaloupe has entered the frame now, unlike it has in a while, which is kind of weird. It says it's okay, and I eat a ton of cantaloupe. Or at least I have in the past month. But the possibility is there. Just ask me, and I'll give you a bit of what my routine has been and see if you can play off of that. If you're interested in playing off of that, all good. I can help. And I do not mind talking about it because I cannot thank Thomas and everybody at Premier enough because I had first of all, I had my head in the sand. I had zero idea that it was necessary. And now I sit here knowing how necessary it was. Weight-wise, health-wise, just everything. So I can't thank them enough. 239-1070 is that number. Yeah, we got the text line as well open. If you guys want to drop some notes in, I shall read those. Dave's going to lead this show on this Wednesday. Dave, welcome in. How are you, brother?
Hey, second time taking my call. Last time was when I couldn't believe Vinatieri wasn't the first ballot Hall of Famer. So a couple thoughts, JMV. Thanks for taking my call.
You
Let
got
you
it,
respond to one.
Yes.
I feel like for the first time since the last 2 weeks in 2021, I'm not pretending that they're a good team. I feel like I was always pretending midweek.
Right.
Couple things you said. This is a game where we're going to find out what kind of team we have. Is we should go down there and listen. There is no easy game in the NFL. We should go down there as a team with confidence and play well and should walk out with a win. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. Couple other takes, and I want your opinion on them. Number one, Shane Steichen, Chris Ballard, they've forgotten more football than I'll ever know. Always preface by saying that. I felt like Sunday, you mentioned we got lucky. Well, there's a lot of plays in any game could go one way or the other. We put ourselves in a position to win, and we didn't fight. Defensively, with guys out, that was an effort that I've just been wanting to see. Shane Steichen's brilliant. I thought we got real conservative on that last drive like everybody does. Your thoughts on that? And that's not a microcosm that we're going to go down to Tennessee and do that. And then I want to say this because a lot of people have critiqued Ballard 2 years ago for taking Anthony Richardson. Who was he going to take, him or Levis? And what was he not going to take a quarterback?
Well, yeah, you're right.
Go ahead.
Well, you're right, but here's the problem you have. It doesn't matter. I mean, these are exact terms, and these guys know what you're dealing with. There's no, we understand because you chose this guy and you were excited to do it because you felt you could mold him into what you want, and what you ended up doing was blowing the pick. So I would say almost anybody else other than that right now. And I know it's revisionist history, and it's incredibly unfair, Dave, but that's the world in which they live, and that's why they get paid at a high grade and get judged at an even higher grade.
Yeah, it comes with risk. But what I want to say then is, and again, future down the road, we've only seen a few weeks. He better get friggin' credit for taking what I think is maybe the best draft pick that's happened since Andrew Luck. Come on. Is he getting the credit for Tyler Warren? Because that is a weapon that, listen, after 2 games, does that mean he's a Hall of Famer? Of course not. But is there anything that we've seen in 2 games that makes us think there's at any point in time in the near future going to be a huge regression with him?
I think you're going to pat Ryan Pace of the Bears on the back, I think, with that, aren't you? Probably.
Well,
yeah, if we're going
like
with Loveland. But no, hey, I will ask you this in closing. I'm going to let you lead off the next segment with this thought. I'll let you go here. But will the Colts destroy goodwill if you go to Tennessee and lose this weekend? The goodwill of being 2-0 around here.
No, I don't think that. Well, I think it depends how we play, and it depends how they play. This is NFL. We go down there, we play a good game, and they make a few plays, and we compete, and it's just a game that we lose. That's one thing. We go down there, and we go from no turnovers to 5. So I think it's how we react as a team that should be sitting in the division. One other thought I just want your opinion on, because I've debated with people. We could have 2 teams 1-2 or 2 teams 0-3.
Yeah.
A part of me says let's put our neck on Tennessee and let's put our foot on Houston. I'd rather have 2 of them 0-3. And we're looking at Jacksonville and saying, okay, that's the team to beat. That's my other thought.
You always want to reduce your enemies, certainly, that are close to you. There's no doubt.
But here's something better. They tie. That would be friggin' ideal.
Hey, Dave, thank you for the call, man. You call anytime. I appreciate that. So I'll play off of that going into a break, and you guys can counter on the other side. I know Ken Dog's on hold and Todd is on hold, but if they go down and do not play well, for example, and Tennessee gets their first win of the season at home on Sunday, does that shatter most of the goodwill this Colts team has built with you, the fans, in the first 2 weeks of the season? I suggest it does, because I suggest what it does, it tells you that maybe this is not as far away from the same old recently as what the first 2 weeks may dictate. Thoughts on that on the other side? We'll leave with Ken Dog. We've got Kevin Bowen. We've got Danny Canel. You and I, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Thank you guys for joining us. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
right, Hamilton. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Windshield spreadability. It's back, Central Indiana. Find it. Get it on your snacking table. Windshield spreadability. We found it at the Meyer locations here. Carmel, Muncie, and Avon. Gordon's Food Services. Windshield spreadability. Favorite grocer's refrigerator. Hey, this is a great question right here. You want to hear it, James? Hey, JMV, what did you do with the extra skin from the weight loss? Well, we'll say this. There wasn't a lot of extra skin, as you say. However, I've worked it pretty hard. I have a regimen both in the morning and at night I do. And then I play basketball an ass load, probably too much as I did last night. I got in a fight with Mike Landis last night. I feel bad.
Oh, really?
I called him, we called each other some bad names.
Oh. Little heated on the basketball court.
I wasn't heated. He was heated. He's a crotchety old fart. But I love him. Son of a gun. We were heated. I think I used a word for the first time ever. I go, wow, I don't think I've ever used that.
So you got into a fight, and now you're limping around everywhere? And
my Achilles is inflamed. Somebody had told me if I eat cantaloupe, it's going to help my Achilles. I don't know if that's true. Can any orthopedic surgeons out there lay claim to that being true? Eating cantaloupe?
I'm actually surprised if it's inflamed and bothering you that you're not walking around in the boot like normal.
Well, I also have these old school. See, if you're watching right now via the AAA Membership Lounge YouTube Live, I've got these old hard toe Adidas on. And let's just face it, they weren't then nor now built with a great deal of comfort in mind. They just weren't. I love them, but the comfort's not there. Ken Dog, take us to the top of the hour, sir. How are you?
Pretty good, JMV. How about yourself?
Damn straight. Great. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to run some stuff by. I think we need to, Steichen needs to put some serious thought into putting Sanchez in the practice squad and maybe picking up like a fullback or letting another offensive lineman.
So you just
play.
want to go ahead and just not have a punter at all is what you're saying?
Well, we don't need him. So, I mean, that's your wasting a spot right there, brother. That's valuable, playing time that's just getting thrown away that we could use another dude.
And poor Riggo. Riggo's going to be pissed off to hear that.
Yeah, that's right. But, hey, man, I had another cool thing I was going to tell you. The tight end, he back in the day, he had this big deal with Johnny Riggins, so that's why he likes running the ball so much.
No, it's true. Yeah, that's why he's 44. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he loved him. Idolized the guy watching his
Ken Dog, he said that very thing when he got drafted on this show back in April, if you remember. Are you getting that from this show, brother man?
I might have been. I
there
might
you
have.
go.
I will give you the credit, but I got to tell you, you got to give me some too, because I told you Jones would be pretty good because he actually have a team that's a line that's halfway decent, and the system fits for the guy. And so far, he's doing so good. I'm happy about that. But
hey, Ken Dog, I wanted to reset the program and fire everybody. Have I been proven wrong?
No. I think it's going overboard, but
a little bit better than that, isn't it? Yeah, I got
not that fair.
My brother, I appreciate you as always, Ken Dog. You call anytime. Come out to a show.
I shall, brother. Have a blessed day.
If you're on hold, we'll get to you. Danny Canel talks up Illinois IU coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. The former Florida State and NFL quarterback you won't want to miss from SiriusXM. Other side, Kevin Bowen, morning show. Fever big win last night. First round of the WNBA postseason here against Atlanta. And then Mooney is back. Leatu is not. Explanation on the inbound with Kevin Bowen. Next.
JMV.
I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Danny Canel, Sirius XM, the former college and NFL quarterback. He is really good in talking up Hoosier football. We got IU Illinois coming up on Saturday night. And Bloomington would talk to Danny Canel coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Meantime, our text line 317-239-1070. Hey, JMV, this is Shelly from Fisher's. I know Shelly. Joe's Grill. I saw that the Fisher's Meyer on 96th Street, it has the spreadability. I don't know if you know this, but I'm Nicole and Harley D's aunt. That's awesome. I love Nicole and Harley D. Shout out to Shelly right there. Shelly, thank you very much. Nick the Quaker chimes in. Riggo is a place kicker and hold a specialist with the Colts red zone performance. We need his skills there for field goals unless he can learn how to drop kick. I will say this. I don't think anybody's really considering Ken Dog and eliminating the punter from the roster as something that's going to be done. Just a thought. JMV, after the Colts' first two games, I should say, you called this presently the biggest concern. You're absolutely right. The Colts definitely need to improve their 26th ranking in the red zone with a touchdown percentage. Jim McCann, Southern California. With that on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline for the morning show, 7 until 10 a.m. Monday through Friday right here on The Fan with James Boyd and Jeff Rickard. Kevin Bowen joins us. You know, with all that has been lost with the euphoria of this 2-0 start and everything that's going on, well, you know, despite the decision-making of Shane Steichen a couple of different times on Sunday, you survived that. You get yourself a little bit of good fortune. But you do have to clear up the issues of getting into the end zone, in the red zone when you get down there. That has been problematic so far, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, they've moved it at will, but, yeah, finishing off drive has been an issue. You just play with fire. You know, they're 4-point plays, honestly, when you get down to that part of the field, many of them. So, yeah, I don't think they've ran it great in the red zone, and also they've had a few penalties pop up as well, which typically can kind of lead to stalled drives. So, yeah, way too many Spencer Schrader from 33 yards so far this season. But, you know, they obviously have moved it extraordinarily well besides that.
Kevin Bowen from the morning show is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I'll get to practice, participation, and thoughts on guys getting back, maybe not getting back on Sunday in week number 3 in Nashville in just a second. But this is the portion of the show, Kev, where I lean on those that participate to do my job for me here. And Casey writes this. I just took a look at the point spread for Sunday's game and saw the Colts are only 4.5-point favorites. Is it just me, or does that seem like a low number given how these teams have looked over the past 2 weeks? I said this, and then you can play off of it. I think it's because of there's still a great deal of new and freshness and unknown and belief that maybe all that isn't real, and also the home field situation for the Titans, I think, weighs a little bit on this as well. What say you, Kev?
Yeah, and actually, I think I saw it at 3.5 points. I thought it would be a little closer to a full touchdown. I mean, I get home field, but, I mean, John, I'm sure you've been down there. I mean, that's not some intimidating atmosphere, frankly. There'll probably be just as many Colts fans after a 2-0 start just nabbing them off on the secondary ticket market than there would be Titans fans. So to me, that's more of a party atmosphere than a real NFL road atmosphere. So I was a little surprised by that as well. Tennessee's got some notable injuries too. I know the Colts injury report, like you said, has got a few names on it that obviously merit a whole lot of watching, but Tennessee pretty banged up in the trenches as well. So I thought, you know, and again, not to get too deep in the weeds of gambling lines, but to me it screamed more like 5.5, 6.5
than it did, right around, I guess, just past the field goal right now.
Kev, injury situations. I'm going to start with the guys that missed last week, and that was Charvarius Ward and Leatu Latu. Ward was back today. Latu not. What's the word there midweek-wise?
Yeah, Latu actually did practice limited today. Shane Steichen was a little bit vague, and I honestly
that's never good, by the way. But you know what I mean? If he's vague, that always kind of means the negative.
Yeah, which kind of I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of Steichen being Steichen about injuries. He acted like Latu wasn't going to practice, and then he did practice, or acted like he's going to work off to the side, which usually means you don't practice. And then he did practice limited, so we'll see. Hamstring injuries for this team have not been good this year. Typically, they mean a multi-week absence. Latu hurt it 1 week ago today, missed last Thursday, Friday, missed the game. So the fact that he was out there at all, I would say, is a positive sign. And again, he plays a position where, you could pitch count him up on a Sunday. You could, just throw him out there in the third down packages or something like that. So yeah, defensively with Ward and Latu, and Ward wasn't even in a red jersey. He was in a full contact jersey. So I would say definitely a good sign for the corner and, at least a step in the right direction for Latu.
Everything else, injury-wise, how's it look on this Wednesday?
Yeah, no Tyler Warren, no Josh Downs. So, those were two names that Shane Steichen did not reveal as guys that would not practice, but they both were out. It was an ankle for Downs. It was a toe for Warren. Watching Tyler Warren, it was one of the lightest jogs you'll ever see out on the practice field over to his tight end group. And I was kind of like, because at that point we weren't really sure what the body type was. I'm like, it doesn't just look like a guy resting. So we'll see how the week moves along. He played a ton of snaps. He played 66 of them on Sunday, which I believe would have been the most snaps of any tight end in the NFL last year. I think Trey McBride, the Arizona tight end, maybe had one game where he was north of 66. So, again, that's a huge number. Colts tight ends just do not play that many snaps. So, making it through the game, one thing, wear and tear after a game, maybe another. So, obviously, that will merit a whole lot of watching. And then Downs, he's had some ankle issues in the past. He had a hamstring in August. So that is also one that'll be watching, considering they're two very important players. They're two guys that, obviously make impact on third down especially. Again, they do play positions, and Downs, we've seen him do this before. If people recall that game in Germany 2 years ago, because Downs was only out there on third downs, and he made the biggest play of the game. Catching that ball from Gardner Minshew against the Patriots, kind of laying out to help ice the game. So, again, they play positions like you could do that, but still, lower body injuries in the month of September for pass catchers, probably not a great sign.
Hey, Kev, what do you think, if anything, I guess, Shane Steichen learned by completely lucking out and not jacking up the end of that game Sunday?
Yeah, I think he learned probably, all right, let's not overthink it to the nth degree. I understand.
Good luck with that, by the way. Good luck.
Yeah, I was half joking, half serious. I'm like, the football gods gave him one. I think the football gods love how much he worships the game of football. That
hey, Kev, I want you to finish too. And I like Shane Steichen a great deal. He's a good dude, but he is like the classic overthinker, outthinking the room dude in football. He just is.
Yeah, you should have seen how excited he got answering a question today about Alex Pierce fake catching a football on Sunday. Yeah, it sounded like you explaining your first interaction with the Playboy magazine back in the day.
Ooh.
So yeah, it is something that I think he looked back on and was like, all right, just because Spencer Schrader has made a 60-yard, like today, Schrader, I couldn't tell exactly how long the distance was in practice. He kicked two from what I would have guessed, if you didn't have the best view, probably 55 or 60, kind of right in that range. He misses the first one left and then makes the next one. I think both are from the same yardage. That's kind of how it happens from 55 and 60-yard field goals. And obviously the Colts aren't trying to block the field goal in a practice setting. So just because a guy has done it once doesn't mean you settle or you're content for that yardage number. I mean, it's kickers, and yes, NFL kickers are very good, but still, it's not like it's some layup here from 58. So I assume that's what he learned. And honestly, when you go back and look at it, John, it's pretty wild. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say the third down play was like 16 or 17 seconds to go in the game. So even if you throw the ball in that situation, which is what he should have done, in my opinion, Denver had no timeouts. Let's say it goes incomplete. Let's say the worst-case scenario happens. That play probably still takes 4 to 5 seconds. Okay, so now you're down to 12 or 13 seconds in the game. Then you kick the field goal. Once again, let's say you make it. You're probably down to, 8 seconds in the game? If you can't defend a kickoff and then the field with 8 seconds to go in a football game, you probably deserve to lose anyway. So to me, just insane overthinking and trying to get it all the way down to triple zeros.
Kevin Bowen of the Fan Morning Show, James Boyd, along with Jeff Rickard. 7 until 10 a.m. Monday through Friday here on The Fan. And Kev's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So Mike in Brooklyn is a really good content creator as a caller to this show. And he phoned on Monday and had mentioned how it wasn't even so much the end of the game play calling and the lack of aggression that it was and settling for a 60-yarder initially for his kicker. It was more going for it on fourth down situations with your defense being down, arguably its two most talented players, and putting them, by not making it, in really bad situations. You take issue with that, along with how things were handled play calling wise toward the end of that game Sunday?
Like putting Schrader into a bad situation? Is that what you're saying?
No, putting the defense into short field situations on going for it too much on fourth down, for lack of, I guess, of a better description here.
Yeah, I mean, for the 4th and 2 at midfield, as soon as Sean Payton declined that penalty, I think it would have made it like 3rd and 15 or something. I was shocked that Payton declined it. Actually, I'm like, do you know Shane Steichen? He is 1,000% going to go for it. I'm trying to think what score and time was at that point. I didn't have, usually I sit next to Mike Chappell, as you know, and, usually him and I will kind of say to each other, all right, you have to say it now. Do you agree with the decision or do you not before the play happens, so you can't just hindsight it? 2020, I think both of us were kind of on no, this is probably a go situation at this point in the game. And obviously Warren, had the, the 4th and, I don't know, I think it was like 4th and inches where you weren't able to pick that one up with him. You go back to week 1, John, and they were perfect, 3 for 3 on 4th down, and I didn't think the reward was necessarily that much of a benefit, whereas on Sunday it was such a close game. I get, if you get it here, boom, you have a great opportunity to go ahead and expand the lead, take the lead, something like that. So, it's a fair question. I think each game, to me, depends on it. This is where something that I kind of disagree with these coaches that are so married to analytics. It's like, wait, it goes back to a Colts game that 2018, I want to say it was. It was a Frank Reich Colts-Texans in overtime, and they decided to throw to Chester Rogers on a 4th down with the game on the line. And, that's one of those moments where I think Hilton had gotten hurt. I think Jack Doyle had gotten hurt. And, that's where it's like, okay, the whole analytics sheet that your AI guy drew up on a Friday, did that take into account T.Y. Hilton getting hurt in the game? Did that take into account Jack Doyle getting hurt in the game? To me, personnel, our guys, have you had success with this certain play or player in a game? What's the opposing defense injury? All that stuff to me matters. So, as far as Sunday was concerned, I didn't have that big of an issue with it. I just think it's one of these things that game in and game out, Steichen's going to err on the side of aggression, which is what made the end of the game so weird, because he wasn't aggressive at all. He wasn't an ounce of aggression. He looked like Frank Reich in 2021 with Carson Wentz, with how scared he was to throw the football.
Hey, Kev, Jonathan Taylor's had the most touches he has had in his career through the first 2 weeks of the season in these first 2 games. Is that something that's worth watching rest of the way?
Yeah, I think so. I understand that Taylor is a pretty unique running back dating back to his Wisconsin days, and I understand giving him a heavy workload, but boy, I just think early in the season it would be good to sprinkle in a DJ Giddens series or two, or even if you don't want to do a whole series, even half a series, something along those lines, just to kind of keep that wear and tear a little bit on the lower side. I mean, late last season, they gave the ball to Taylor a ton. I mean, we're talking 30-some carries in a couple games late in the year. And I understand when, the season's on the line, December, January, by all means, but you're trying to get the dude to close to as 17 games as possible. And if that means that if the difference between 13 games and 17 games in a season comes down to, a couple of carries in a week, 14 game, or excuse me, I should say a week 3 or week 4 game, then I would be willing to kind of dial it back a little bit here in the month of September with him. So they have definitely not gone that route at all. And, you're just curious when you start adding up numbers of, the Wisconsin amount of carries he's had, the amount of carries he's had so far in the NFL. You look around the league, and even those great backs, Derrick Henry, him, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley. Bijan Robinson, I mean, he almost splits carries, really. And, even Barkley and Henry, they both have guys that take some carries away from them. So I don't get the impression the Colts are going to change that anytime soon, but I do think it's something they should look into.
It's Kevin Bowen, Fan Morning Show. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Will a loss in Nashville in week 3 for the Colts destroy all this? And I think you've noticed this as well, the goodwill that this season and this team has built so far. And I guess in this case, rebuilding the goodwill of its fan base. Will that be destroyed if they go down and lose this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be all destroyed. I mean, to me, if you had told me 3 weeks ago, hey, the Colts are going to start the season 2-0, it would not have been the most stunning thing in the world. I mean, we got 2 home games. Yes, I didn't think they'd go 2-0. I thought they'd go 1-1, and I mean, I guess they were kind of gifted a penalty to go 2-0. But nonetheless, to me, if Daniel Jones still shows some competency in week 3, and yet you lose, let's say Cam Ward has a rookie day for the ages, and you lose that, or you lose via that. If Jones continues to play good football for you, boy, I mean, if I would have told you 2-1 record out of the gate and Daniel Jones looks like this, I think everyone would have signed up for that, kind of movie script, if you will, to the start of the season, that you're winning you are 2-1 because of your starting quarterback, not in spite of your starting quarterback, which at times, and you kind of go back to that 2019 season with Jacoby Brissett, I think that was one of those years that maybe there were moments where you said, well, you're kind of winning in spite of the level of play that you're getting from that quarterback there. Obviously it's a divisional game. That matters a whole lot. It's probably the easiest game on your road slate all year. I understand all of that, but still 2-1. And if Jones is able to play well, I think destroying all of it is probably too big of a statement.
Yeah, I think you blank everything up if you lose down there on Sunday. I do, at least for the moment. And I agree with you, Kev, about the starting 2-1. I think everybody would have taken that and ran with it without question. But I think you also live in the moment of, look what you've done so far, look at your opportunity. And a lot of people would revert back to, well, this is like the same old, here we go again. If you go down and you jack up that situation on Sunday against a team that either here or there, this team honestly probably should beat.
Yeah, and again, to me, the difference in 2-0 right now is the fact that Jones has been one of the biggest reasons why. So that's why I can't say you'd be destroying all of that. If Daniel Jones has a nice day and you lose 31-27 because Cam Ward, has an unbelievable day, 2-1 and Daniel Jones looking like a dude that might actually be something, that to me can't destroy everything that happened week 1 and week 2. Sure, yeah, you have a golden opportunity to expand an AFC South lead, get your first divisional win, all that stuff. It would be disappointing, but just to all of a sudden, throw away what happened in week 1 and week 2, given how your quarterbacks play, that to me is the difference in this. It's that you didn't win, 2 games solely on the back of Jonathan Taylor. You didn't win 2 games solely because Lou Anarumo played great defense. I mean, Daniel Jones' right arm, not his legs, outside of the QB sneaks, his right arm has been a huge reason why you're 2-0. That's why I think it's different.
Kev, so they sustained last night in front of what I thought was a raucous field house. I guess, are you surprised that the Fever have put themselves in this competitive situation, given all the injury circumstances? Are you also surprised that the fan base has hung this tight and this loud with a team with all these injuries, especially with the one major star being Caitlin Clark?
Yeah, I'm not. No, because I think, when you get the playoffs, you haven't won one in 10 years. I know last night, I don't believe it was a sold-out crowd. I'd have to double-check.
Sounded pretty loud, though, there last night. It did.
No, it definitely did. And, I thought we were talking about this morning. I kind of threw it James's way because he was there. But, watching on TV, I thought the end of the third quarter flurry was kind of reminiscent of some of those Game 6 Pacer Thunder moments where everyone's getting involved. It was the Aaliyah Boston layup, and then it's the Shea Petty tip, and then I think Kelsey Mitchell maybe corralled it around the horn. Boom, Lexi Hall hits that three, and that was a crescendo of it there. So, yes, obviously Caitlin Clark's full presence on the floor probably is going to get that to be a sellout, but I still think there is enough of a fan base pre-Clark and then post-Clark to where, hey, this is something that they appreciate with or without her. And it's been it's been a different type of script with this season in that, yeah, it's probably not one that's going to end in a title, but still it's pretty darn impressive to, sit here and talk about a team that, given their injury situation, they won their first, playoff game in 10 years, and they've got a great opportunity. The thing about that 1-1-1 format, it just puts all the pressure on that home team. If you don't take advantage of that game 2, and if you're able to flip the script, Atlanta's got the weight of the world on them tomorrow night. So if the Fever can kind of get it low scoring again and get it to be a bit of an ugly game, I'll be curious to see how Atlanta handles that, because they also haven't had much playoff success, if at all, really, here lately.
Somebody asked me last week why you love Notre Dame football so much and hate the school in which you attended IU football so much. I said, I don't know that to be true. Your love for Notre Dame I know to be true. I don't know if you hate IU football as much as this person asked.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not true. I am a diehard, probably a little bit of a sick Notre Dame fan. And I think I said this back when Notre Dame played IU back in the playoff. I just don't have room in my heart to cheer for anybody else. So it's all Notre Dame. It's all Notre Dame.
What kind of heart do you have there, brother? Come on, man. Why do you not have enough room in your heart? Come on.
Yeah, I got Notre Dame, Tiger Woods, and the Bowen family. Not in that order.
You don't have any more room.
To be very clear, but that's for my. Are there really people out there that hate IU football? 'Cause I don't.
Well, they described you as hating IU football.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I certainly hated them.
I said the son of Brad
night.
Bowen doesn't hate IU football. Is what I said.
No, definitely hated them on that Friday night last December, and was very happy about the result. But no, there is no hatred. I can't wait for Saturday night. You think about that campus, that city. They've never had this sort of top 20 matchup, the atmosphere, the magnitude of it. I know it's September, but still, it carries that much. And the home schedule, I don't think will offer anything else this season like this one. It's at Oregon, it's at Penn State. I think it's at Iowa as well. So, yeah, very jealous to think when I was there, we won 3 Big Ten games in 4 years. For them to have that moment, what a night it's going to be. And boy, the secondary ticket market indicates that based off how expensive.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I'm going to talk to Danny Canel in the 5 o'clock hour. He's a former quarterback. You look at these quarterback numbers. They are so close with Altmaier and Mendoza. It is weird how close they are across the board with their numbers in the first 3 games. Something we shall watch. All right, Kev. Pleasure as always. Everything else going okay in your neighborhood?
Everything is great. Yeah, everything's good. How about you?
When's the baby due?
We got today was a 32-week ultrasound, so we're 8 to go.
So I'm not good with weeks and such. What's the date? The predicted date?
November 10th. I assume we'll probably do an induction the week prior. So yeah, we're probably looking like early November.
So you're going to go to Berlin, right?
Yeah. Well, A, we have the budget to do that, and then B, that's exactly what Maddie wants.
It's weird, man. They just told me to keep my ass home. I said, cool. I don't want to go anyway. Smooch it.
Did you go to Frankfurt, or was it just London?
Hell, I didn't want to go there either. I went to London. I had a great time. I did want to. Well, actually, I take that back. I didn't initially want to go, but I am damn glad that I went now. But I had no thought of wanting to go to Frankfurt, and even less of a thought of wanting to go to Berlin.
Yeah, I remember being in London with you at the old. Was it the Admiralty? Was that the pub?
Hell, wasn't that fun, man? Especially when they unplugged my show, because when they closed, they closed. They just said, "All right, power's off, done."
Hey, wait a minute. We got an anything goes over here.
I know. What am I supposed to do here? I'm all plugged up and I'm done. But I went with Bullseye with Kyle Cadet, and we stayed in this. My bathroom, first of all, was in glass encased bathroom. It was glorious. I mean, I could see right out into everything else just sitting there. I've not been in one like that since. It was amazing. I'd do that again.
Are you saying there's not many of those in Greene County?
No, not too many. You don't have doors. You do have the one, like we went to, I don't know about your school at Cathedral, but we had no doors on the bathroom stalls. No doors.
Stop.
No, seriously. You just walk by and no doors. Eastern Green had no doors on the bathroom stalls.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Gosh, come on.
Yeah, kind of lucky, like in the Army, right? I guess when the toilets are all lined up together right next to one another, we're lucky we didn't have that, probably. So
the beautiful aroma. Here you go.
Kev, I appreciate it, man. Have a good morning tomorrow, rest of the week with the guys.
All right, John, I appreciate it.
Kevin Bowen, Fan Morning Show, 7 until 10 a.m. weekday mornings here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Danny Canel is a little over 30 minutes away. Don't go anywhere. Plus, your Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day for 50 in betting and 50 in dining from Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Get your horse and you can win. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
With JMV.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Danny Canel talks Illinois IU top of the hour. Notre Dame's 0-for situation. Boilermakers in year one of Barry Odom, coming off a loss at home to USC. A lengthy weather delay on Saturday up in West Lafayette, too. Danny Canel, Sirius XM, their college football show in the morning. I believe he hosts that with Dusty Dvorak. Weekday mornings. Danny Canel, top of the hour. 317-239-1070. That is the text line. JMV, I'm a physical therapist. The best way to eat cantaloupe is to cut it in half and throw directly into the trash. Mudsock Brandon. I used to have a similar feeling, but I don't know why I am so much in love now with cantaloupe. It's weird. But I love cantaloupe. JMV, is it safe to say this is the year for Indiana professional sports teams? I will say this. It has been that way, but there often will still be some heartache involved. Even with just the incredible Pacer season, I still love and embrace to this very day. There's still heartache involved. And Tyrese Halliburton's injury situation being done the entirety of the year, you may not feel it as impactful right now, but man, over the course of the season, we're all going to be shaking our fist and going, why? Seems like that the only true way to gauge whether or not you shake loose of that is what I mentioned back on Monday. It's the good fortune that comes along with winning. And you had good fortune with the Colts because the coach really did kind of blank up some situations, especially late. And you survived that. That's what I call good fortune. But it seems like around here we always have to navigate around the misfortune in terms of injuries. Zach, thank you very much for that. JMV, after the Colts' first two games, you called this presently the biggest concern. Thank you, Jim McCann. I think I already read that. Yes, red zone, indeed it was. JMV, not surprised at all in the spread. Colts beat a very bad Dolphins team. And we saw again this weekend, if not for the penalty by Denver, the Colts lose Sunday and are headed to their first road game of the season. I think 4.5 is what is said. Kevin said he saw it at 3.5. I'll go with 4.5. Nick writes this: London is greater than Berlin. Berlin is much greater than Frankfurt. I used to live in Europe. I just don't want to go. I just don't feel like going to Germany in November, if that's okay. And I'm glad when the Colts said, you know what? You can go ahead and keep your ass here. I said, okay, deal. I got to do the JMV takeover anyway. I don't have time for you, Berlin. I can play Berlin on Saturday night, but I don't want to go to Berlin, and I'm not going. JMV, we had no doors on the stalls in elementary and middle school. The high school was newer back then, and those had doors. Walk by an elementary, and there's a principal, yes, doing just what you're saying in his suit. We also had, and it was built in 1962, the water, you go to the sink in the bathroom, and you step on, that's what starts it. You step on it. It's like got a kind of a half circle spray where the water comes out, and you step on it. It's got a little round pedal all the way around that you step on to get the water to come out. And then when you leave, it goes off. Everybody didn't have those? I thought it was genius. I just always wanted to step on and get now, like right now, I'd much rather have the things you step on than the things that sees your hand activity there and comes on. Because hell, half the time I can't get those son of a guns to come on. I'm sitting there going, man, I'm waving here. My hand's right here. It's ready to be washed. Can you give me the water? I can't be the only one. JMV, Bowen did not go to Darrell Cathedral at 14th and Meridian. And no, we did not have doors on our stores or our stalls either, thank you. No, you didn't. Which is true. JMV, to me, this is a game in years past that the Colts would lose. If they pull it out, I feel like something has changed. And that's kind of, John, my whole gauge on the situation. And that's what I'm looking for. Jeff writes this, getting smoke ups is where I mastered my mom's signature. Yeah, you get your mom's signature back in the day for smoke ups and to be able to smoke if you're 16 or older at school. That's true. Not any longer, but back in the day, yes. Eric says the Smiths are actually for sale. I did see that. James played how soon as now, a little bit earlier. They are indeed for sale, which is kind of interesting. JMV, I cannot wait to watch IU and Illinois coming up on Saturday. I think Bloomington is going to be absolutely outstanding. One of the most exciting times ever to be an IU football fan. No, I think there's a great deal of truth to that. At JMV, I was at the Fieldhouse last night. I thought that was the loudest crowd of the season going to all the Fever games. I guess it would stand to reason because it was an elimination postseason game like that. JMV, Tyler Warren and Josh Downs. What happened in practice earlier today? Neither one practiced. They both were DNPs. Latu was out there on a limited basis and still in concussion protocol, but Ward was back. We'll follow the story of Tyler Warren, Josh Downs, and Leatu Latu and Shavarius Ward as the week lingers forward. Hey, JMV, does Pendleton Heights have anything for New Pal coming up on Friday night? Both are unbeaten, man. I would find it hard-pressed to believe that really anybody on the regular season schedule is going to give a great deal of problem. Not that it won't happen, but New Pal's beyond legit, as you well know in football. So that one's going to be difficult. JMV, you're going to be live on the road tomorrow. Where is that going to be? The District Tap, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. That is week number 3. Brent Halverson and I, Clearwater Crossing, Northside, District Tap tomorrow. So you can join us. And then on Friday, Twin Peaks, Bud Light Blue Friday. We'll have Colts tickets for you to win at Twin Peaks. We will be in Castleton with Bud Light coming up on Friday. It shall be a great deal of fun. So I definitely believe you should join us. That's coming up on Friday. JMV, how about some conversation, James? This is maybe more your speed. WrestlePalooza this weekend? All right, Fipsy, since you ask, and that's what we do here. If you ask, I try to give you a bit of a helper. James, WrestlePalooza this weekend.
Yes, we do have WrestlePalooza. That will be at Gamebridge Fieldhouse, I believe. Yep. Gamebridge
Is that on
Fieldhouse.
Saturday night?
That is this Saturday.
So you've got
September 20th.
Saturday night in Bloomington and then Saturday night with WrestlePalooza downtown.
Yep.
And then you have the JMV takeover. 3 major things going on all at once. How can we maintain around here? That's a big damn deal.
Well, it's going to be a busy weekend for sure. This WrestlePalooza, I believe, will be on the ESPN streaming app. I believe they have since made the move over from Peacock to ESPN. But there's a couple of good matches on there. I mean, you got
Is that
CM Punk.
Is Cena going to be here?
Cena's there. He's wrestling Brock Lesnar. You've got Cody Rhodes taking on Drew McIntyre. CM Punk and AJ Lee. AJ Lee is CM Punk's wife. She's back in the wrestling business. We'll be taking on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. So there's a lot of intriguing matches on that card.
All right, so Fipsy says, I could use a shout-out to help sell 2 extra tickets. He's got 2 extra tickets for sale. Is it a sellout at Gamebridge Fieldhouse?
I would assume it's a sellout. I am not 100% sure, but I would assume that they have sold out.
Hey, text line at 317-239-1070. Who is going to WrestlePalooza on Saturday? Who's going to WrestlePalooza? Who's going to Bloomington? Who's going to South Bend Saturday afternoon? And then who's listening to the JMV Takeover on Saturday night? I'm telling you what, this is like sensory overload going down on Saturday. I don't know what you guys are going to be doing. Going to be all different spots and places. Now, is Saturday the 20th of September?
Yes, Saturday is the 20th.
Do you know why the 21st of September is a damn big deal?
Is this Earth, Wind, and Fire?
That's the first thing you ever got accurate on this show.
Know.
That's well done out of you right there.
I've played that song enough for you coming back in that I finally picked up on it. So,
the 21st of September, and we remember Earth, Wind, and Fire coming up on Sunday. Not live or anything, but obviously the song September.
Is that something you might be hearing on the JMV Takeover this weekend?
And you'll probably hear Fulton's version, too, on the ukulele. Danny Canel's got just an incredible breakdown of Illinois IU coming up on Saturday and the rest of the college football schedule. And the biggest problem with Notre Dame to start this season, too. We'll get to Danny Canel from the college football show they have on Sirius XM. Monday through Friday mornings, you can chat to the former NFL and college quarterback's going to join us at the top of the hour. The stream, the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Give me my theme music.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, here it is. Arguably top 5 of the 1970s from 1978. It's Earth, Wind, and Fire. This is a great song. When Schuler's Spreadability, when you're listening to Earth, and Wind, and Fire, and yet another rendition of the song September, make sure you bring the spreadability along, too. That's When Schuler's Spreadability. Original sharp cheddar, bacon and cheddar, and jalapeno pepper. And I have been informed you guys are on the lookout, and I appreciate you for it. Caramel Meyer, the Avon Meyer, and the Muncie Meyer have all been cited as having the spreadability. The spreadability of Win Schuler's. No matter what you're doing, if it's a tailgate, if it's a party, or maybe if you're snacking at home, make sure the spreadability is a part. And let us know when you find that spreadability, too, so we can spread a word on the spreadability. Win Schuler's. Available in your favorite grocer's refrigerator, and if it's not there, damn straight, ask for it. Win Schuler's. JMV, I don't know about cantaloupe, but if you put a buckeye in your pocket on the affected side, it will probably work. That is Mountain Legend from the Andy Griffith Show. The buckeye in your pocket, Bill, helps with what? A sore foot. True story. Yeah, Bloomington is going to be absolutely outstanding. JMV, I looked up the numbers on the two quarterbacks with Illinois and IU coming up on Saturday night, and it is almost eerie how close in proximity everything is. And I mean absolutely everything. Zach Osterman and I talked about that at length. It is weird. Through 3 games, Altmaier and Mendoza, it is something to behold. I don't know when's the last time when you read things like this quote from Yahoo, the very definition of a must-see head-to-head matchup in college football, Illinois and IU. IU 9th nationally in third down conversion rate, 6th in passing efficiency, and 1st in first downs per game. Now, on the other side, the Fighting Illini defense, 31-6 is what they allow percentage-wise in third down conversions. Something's going to have to give. You got a good defense, got a good offense, but it's very unusual to see must-see head-to-head matchup with those two teams in Bloomington, and it is quite refreshing. That's Saturday night in Bloomington. The quarterback matchup, Luke Altmaier and Fernando Mendoza, the former quarterback at Florida State and in the NFL. Danny Canel from SiriusXM is going to join us on the other side. We'll have a very good breakdown of that game and then some from Danny Canel coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Plus, in the 5 o'clock hour, your Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. Somebody wins 50 in betting and 50 in dining, courtesy of Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Get your horse selected. Give it a chance. See what you got. The Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day, 5 o'clock hour. Don't go anywhere. The AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
He's my homeboy, my rotten soldier. He's my sweet cheese, my good time boy.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I am JMV. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow, the District Tap, Larceny Bourbon Lock, Saloon Azul, Tequila Shots, me, Brent Halverson. Yeah, somebody from the Colts. I don't know who it's going to be just yet. I'll find out coming up tomorrow. Oh, we got the 80s this weekend, don't we? The JMV Takeover, the All Request Saturday night, B105.7, live All Request radio. We're living in the 1980s for you as well. And there is a crap ton going on around here. WrestlePalooza downtown. And then down in Bloomington, you're going to have a tremendous matchup. Illinois and IU coming up on Saturday night. And joining us to talk about that, the former college and NFL quarterback, Dusty and Danny, weekday morning, 6 until 9 a.m. on SiriusXM, their college channel. Also does a Cover 3 pod, I believe, CBS Sports HQ. He is a valued content source in terms of football and college football for us each fall. We appreciate that. Danny Canel joins us now. Hey, Danny, thank you for the time. How are you?
I'm great. JMV, how are you, man? I'm fired up. You mentioned that game. What a spotlight game for the Hoosiers there. A primetime game, nationally televised on NBC. I think the scenes are going to be awesome. It's going to be a good game. I cannot wait to watch it unfold.
Have you looked at, as a former quarterback, I'm assuming you have, just how close in resemblance to the first three games both quarterback numbers are? I mean, across the board, it's eerie.
Yeah, and they're both really good. I mean, that's the good news for both of these programs. Of course, I had been very familiar with both of them. Luke Altmaier, we know what he was capable of last year. He put up great numbers. But then I watched a lot of Fernando Mendoza last year at Cal and realized what a special talent he was. I mean, he's big, he's physical. I think he brings more mobility to the position than you had last year with Curtis Rourke. And you always wonder, like, how is it going to be that first year in a new system, like picking up new teammates, finding that rhythm? And it sure looks early that he's not missed a beat and has actually performed better without turning the ball over and played pretty clean for the Hoosiers. So it's been fun. These are really good quarterbacks. I would expect good, clean quarterback play throughout the game, too.
Do you have to, besides the quarterback matchup, Danny, you have a pretty good matchup, at least so far from what we have seen offensively with IU and Brett Bielema and the Illini. They can bring some defense, in particular, very stingy on third down conversion rates defensively are the Illini. So that seems to be a really good matchup in general terms right there, too.
Yeah, it really does. They've got an edge rusher named Gabe Akis, who is a problem off the edge. He was a big reason when they went down to Duke and had a big win and had 5 turnovers. He was harassing Darian Mensah, Duke's quarterback, all night long. And I'm sure that's something where you've got a game plan for coming in where you have either an extra tight end, a back chipping. He is that type of difference maker for the Illini, especially on third down situations when he can kind of pin those ears back, get a little bit more aggressive, not worry about the run. He is definitely something that Indiana is going to have to account for in the pass protection game. Definitely needs something to keep an eye on because you're right. They have been really good at getting off the field on third down.
He is Danny Canel, SiriusXM. Got a morning show. He and Dusty talk college football weekday mornings with you as well. And we'll work in a little NFL with Danny coming up in just a minute, especially that with someplace he knows very well with the Giants, their former quarterback, Daniel Jones, in the first 2 weeks right here and the work he's done for the Colts. But I did want to ask you about your thoughts on Curt Cignetti, and in particular, what has been a major focus for this IU team nationally is the soft first 3 games of their schedule. Did you take any issue with that? And how do you think that will translate to their first really big test Saturday night against Illinois at home?
So I think it's one of those things that, nobody's complaining about Penn State. They've had 3 cupcakes to start the season, right? I would prefer to see, at least one game be tough. I get that, you've already got the 9 conference games in the Big Ten. Indiana's schedule is going to be tougher this year once they get to Big Ten conference play. And I totally get Coach Cignetti's mindset of, hey, we want to schedule to make the college football playoff. And it worked last year. But I do think it would make me nervous, because the committee and because really Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, has been pumping out propaganda about how tough their strength of schedule is.
that I do think it gets a little bit concerning if you're 10-2 and you're comparing schedules to a 9-3 squad. That makes me a little bit nervous for Indiana, but let's get to 10-2 first, right? You got to take care of your business, and then you sort of let the chips fall where they may. But the other thing you mentioned is, like, you're 3 games in now, and like I was saying, I don't really know how Indiana's going to be because they haven't been tested. Duke, I know, Duke lost to Tulane after they lost to Illinois, but it was a road environment, not the most hostile, but it was a Power 4 team, and they were tested. In the first half, it was a little bit more of a competitive game, and they responded to it. So at least you've got a lot of answers from some of the younger players that haven't been in those environments yet. For some of the younger players for Indiana, some of the newer guys that don't have that much experience, this will be like all of a sudden you're in a huge game that has playoff implications, because I do think the winner of this game is probably going to be in that playoff conversation come November and December. So like you almost as your own staff and your own people, you're looking around with some question marks too. So I get it. I would prefer to play one, probably. I love starting off with an easier opponent. Like, we don't have preseason in college football, so I totally understand that. But then at least one of these first 3 games, I'd like to see somebody a little bit more competitive. And even if it's a group of 5 program, it's one of the better group of 5 programs, just so you're a little bit tested a little bit more, rather than going in a little bit blind into that first big game that has huge implications.
I have said this, and we'll see how it translates on Saturday, Danny, but I like the fact that Curt Cignetti has a blueprint from a year ago and how he's kind of going at it schedule-wise, much like he's had a blueprint of finding his quarterback, and that goes back to James Madison. And they go out and they target Mendoza like they targeted Rourke. And then you go back to his days at JMU when they targeted, quarterbacks with a great deal of experience to pilot programs that ended up having great seasons. I have a great deal, I guess, of admiration for somebody that has a plan and you see that plan work, that blueprint work, and you follow it, and that's just a part of your existence. I do like that a great deal.
I do too. And it does speak a lot to the coaching staff's ability to go out and find somebody who fits what you want to do, who like that at least there's going to be a floor, right? Like, because I think even the floor with Mendoza is pretty solid, like where he can compete at this level. You don't know, the stage isn't going to be too big for him. And I'd rather have somebody like that as opposed to look at across the country at the amount of 5 stars and guys who were such touted out of high school, but they hadn't played at all. And they're struggling all over the place, because this really is, we're kind of getting further removed from the COVID extra year where a lot of schools had a luxury of getting guys that had started 2 and 3 years. Now you're having to develop from within. So guys like Arch Manning, there's a quarterback at Ole Miss, Austin Simmons, even some young players who played a little bit, like a DJ Lagway at Florida, Austin Simmons, I already mentioned him. There's just a laundry list of quarterbacks across the country who haven't played very much, and they are really struggling because it takes time and it takes, a lot of experience in hostile environments, going against top-tier defenses to figure it out by making your mistakes. Well, if you watched Fernando Mendoza last year, he made a lot of mistakes at Cal, but he's ironed them out and he's eliminated some of those, and he's already been in a lot of those tough fourth-quarter situations. So I totally agree with you. That would be my mindset, my approach. It's worked well for John Mateer at Oklahoma, who was a quarterback who had a ton of experience at Washington State. He goes to Oklahoma. He already looks really good this season. At Florida State, Thomas Castellanos comes in from BC, where he's a multi-year starter. He looks pretty comfortable in that system. The ability to have somebody who knows and exactly what they're going to get, I would take that every day over somebody who's just a 5-star who might be able to look great when he's playing 7-on-7 in high school, but when the lights come on, there's still a lot of uncertainty.
And Danny, the other thing that Curt Cignetti has done that has impressed me is you see what happened with Mendoza, and you mentioned that earlier at Cal a year ago. He was mistake-ridden while he was also running for his life most of the season. So you saw IU go out and hard target the offensive line, and some people have told me that have followed this program for a number of years, it could be their best offensive line they have put together in terms of a group, again, in a decade plus, which says exactly what you target, how you go about it to make your quarterback as comfortable as possible.
Yes, 100% agree. Duke, as I mentioned them earlier, as Illinois got that big win, They went out and got Darian Mensah from Tulane. They paid him, $8 million over 2 years. Well, if you spend all the money on the quarterback and you don't have any left over to put any talent around him, what you have is what's happening. They're 1-2 because he's been running for his life somewhat. They've got, a freshman starting to tackle, and he's been completely exposed. So Duke all of a sudden looks like, oh boy, this is going to be more of a project, where you got a really good quarterback, and everybody's paying, and I'm sure they're paying Fernando Mendoza pretty good money, but it's not overspending. And then more importantly, you can take some of the money and put good talent around them. And it's very similar at the NFL. Now that we're starting to spend money and there's the salary cap situation, you've got to be very wise with the money you spend. And most importantly for quarterbacks, you got to get them somebody who fits in your system, and you got to put talent around them. And that really does start up front with giving a guy protection so he has some time to throw the football.
The former quarterback Danny Canel, Sirius XM, CBS HQ, the podcast, and more, kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What was your prediction before the start of the season, long-term wise, in year number 2 for Curt Cignetti? I mean, obviously, this is a huge game and could ultimately define their course for the remainder of the season coming up on Saturday night. But what was your belief in this team after what you'd witnessed with IU going to the playoff a year ago?
I predicted coming into the season that this game would be a playoff play-in game for the winner of this game. That's the type of importance that this would have. So clearly, I didn't think Indiana was going to drop off very much. Now, I do think the schedule is a little bit trickier, but they really did. Like, they've gotten trashed so much for the performance, in the playoffs, which I think is completely unfair. The Ohio State game, I think if you dive in a little bit deeper, I know their offense struggled, but their defense did about as good a job as anybody did against Ohio State's offense. So, and they've also invested. They've made an investment in their roster unlike never before. So I think Indiana is here to stay. I think Curt Cignetti is a winner. I think he knows how to develop. And the other thing is, too, they've still got guys that are still experienced players left over from James Madison. When you get a receiver like Surratt or a Mikal Kamara on the defensive side of the ball, they've got guys who have still been with Cignetti from his previous stop, and they're still getting better. So you've got a core nucleus of players who are used to the winning culture and they're used to a winning mindset. And I think that is so important in the locker room, especially at a place like Indiana where it hasn't always been the best scenario and you haven't always had great success. Sometimes that can come and go really quickly. I think it's here to stay for the Hoosiers.
Danny, what do you make of these struggles of Arch Manning? And obviously we saw that front and center in week number 1, but getting booed by the home crowd last week, is this just the case of somebody being way, way overhyped in his situation at Texas?
Yes, but I don't mean, I still think he was worthy of a 5-star. I think one day he'll be really good. I had pretty realistic expectations, I would think, for Arch Manning. I thought they would be 9-3, and I thought they would miss the playoffs because I thought it was going to be a bumpy ride. It did not surprise me that he struggled at Ohio State. What has been surprising is that he struggled against these easier opponents. Like, they've been 4-touchdown favorites, and he's struggling to complete quick hitting routes, like easy layups that should be routine for him. And he's making every throw look really difficult, which is really surprising. And I think there's 2 things. One, I think his confidence is clearly rattled. Like, you've got to be confident as a quarterback. I think 80% of playing the position, his confidence is rattled. So it's impacting his mechanics. He's rushing throws. He's not seeing things clearly. And there's something going on mechanically with him where he's dropping down. He's throwing a little bit more sidearm than I've ever seen. I think he plays his way out of it, but it was really bad against UTEP last week where I thought Sark might be considering benching him. It was like you're leaving him out there. His confidence isn't coming back. Let him get a breather. Let him get off the field. But I think Sark knows the type of tidal wave of press and media that would bring, the question marks, and they haven't even gotten to their SEC schedule. I think he's going to try to build his confidence back up this week before Sam Houston, a game where they're 40-point favorites. But he's got to get his confidence back because they've got to go on the road to Gainesville against Florida after that. And then it's like the gauntlet starts. They don't have any more cupcakes. So it is imperative that Sark instills some confidence in Arch Manning and really that Arch buys more and, believes in himself and his abilities. Because when you get booed at home, it's never any fun. And that's what I saw last week. He's got to play his way out of this funk, or else it could be a really long season, even longer than I anticipated.
He is Danny Canel, the former quarterback on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline with us. So Notre Dame's 0-2. The story has been their defense or lack thereof. Did you think that this start, it had potential to be bumpy, but as bumpy as it has been through the first 2 games, did you expect that with Fighting Irish?
No, I thought they would split. I thought they would win one of them. I didn't see them going through there clean. They did play really good opponents, and I'm sure, like you've been discussing, probably the biggest surprise is the way that they've been losing, where you give up 40-plus points to Texas A&M, and their quarterback is really good and dynamic, but that was one of the top defenses that we've seen last year. So that was pretty surprising. And, of course, a hold, Ty Buckner doesn't drop that hold on the kick, and maybe the game goes a little bit differently. You get to overtime. There's just a lot of different things that could play out. I think the one bright side has been C.J. Carr. Speaking of young quarterbacks, I think he's played as good as anybody in the country for a first-year starter, somebody who hasn't completed a pass yet. And not only did he play good at home, I thought he played well enough to win on the road in Miami. And I do think they'll clean up their issues. What becomes very interesting now, and I think this was huge that Notre Dame was still ranked in the top 25. I disagreed with it. I felt like you have to win. It's still a sport that's about winning and losing. So I didn't love them being in the top 25, but I do think it's huge optically for them to stay relevant in that conversation, because we could potentially see a scenario like last year where you win 10 games in a row and you let everything else happen across the country. And then, a 1-point loss and a field goal loss against teams that look like they're playoff teams and potential conference champions in the case of Miami Hurricanes, then all of a sudden you could find yourself back at the table. But I think it's one of those ones where you never want to let that out of your own hands. You want to control your own destiny. But this is a place Notre Dame lived in last year and got in. I think it's going to be a little bit tricky this year. But I do think there is a lot of parity in college football, and I don't think there's going to be many 11-1, 10-2 teams across the country. So you might be comparing a 10-2 Notre Dame to a 9-3 SEC team, or potentially another Big Ten team.
He is Danny Canel. He's joining us now talking college football, but I did want to change it up a little bit. And you're a former Giants quarterback, and you know that Daniel Jones, who is now here, first 2 games, first season here in Indy, went 6 years in New York and 20 games under 500 in those 6 years. Are you surprised at the start he's had with Shane Steichen? Because simply put, he's been fantastic in the first week of the first 2 weeks of the season here in Indy.
He's been awesome, and I'm really, really happy for him. So I thought this was such a great opportunity for him, because I did think he would beat out Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, I thought, was the biggest boom or bust pick of that draft class, and clearly it looks more towards the bust side. But who knows? Maybe he gets another opportunity and he can get a second chance just like Daniel Jones has. But here's the thing. So I've watched Daniel Jones a lot from the Giants. He came in. He was definitely overdrafted. I thought that the Giants could have waited. They had 2 first-round picks in that class. I thought they could have waited till 16 and picked him up then. But no, they took him in the top 10, and all of a sudden the expectations changed dramatically, and he's forced into action. And then it's like, you've got to play great. And he did at times. And I do think he's a great example of somebody who, when the supporting cast is there, he can clearly go out and play the position. I mean, he did take the New York Giants to the playoffs in a playoff win in Minnesota, when he had a healthy Saquon Barkley, when he did have a defense that was playing better, when he did an offensive line that did a better job of protecting him. I put Daniel Jones' failures more on the Giants organization and their inability to put him in positions to succeed and to put talent around him in order to do that. If you guys get Jonathan Taylor going and a run game going and give him protection, he can absolutely make the Indianapolis Colts playoff team. He's got the talent. And I think Daniel Jones, what he needed, a lot of what we talked about with these college quarterbacks is similar with Daniel Jones. I played in New York. It is a devastating market that can crush your confidence. The amount of criticism and heat you can take, I thought a change of scenery would do wonders for him. And early, I know it's only 2 games, but early, I think he could be a storyline like a Sam Darnold, like a Baker Mayfield, guys who it didn't work out the first stop and sometimes the second. But you find the right fit and the right coaching staff, you might have struck gold with Daniel Jones.
Well, and you mentioned guys that have been reclamation projects, and so far for Daniel Jones, that has worked here. It's worked for the others you mentioned as well, both Darnold and Mayfield. You did bring up Anthony Richardson, who is doing and saying all the right things right now, but what can you say because the starter in Jones is playing so well? Do you think he has a similar reclamation project within him someplace else? Because as it stands right now, it's not going to be here.
I don't know. So I wasn't thrilled with the pick because he had such a limited body work at Florida. He only started 13 games. I know it's been documented. And he wasn't very accurate with the football. I think he was around 52% completion in college, which you should be pushing 65 and close to 70%. I don't care where you play. And I just worry that he's not a naturally accurate passer. Accuracy is something that you can't really teach. Yes, you can clean up your footwork and you can get better mechanics, but you're either just, and I remember I used to work out in high school with Dan Marino. I was very lucky. I grew up in South Florida. And Marino, I asked him about my throwing motion. I was like, can you give me some tips? And he was like, look, you can either throw it or you can't. And he was probably the best example of that as somebody who was just a great pure passer of the football. Accuracy is it's the most important thing in the position. You can be a great runner. You can throw the ball 80 yards, but if you can't hit a target in a small window, then you cannot play the position. That kind of concerns me. And I do think you would have to develop a system specifically around his skill set to open up some passing windows where you don't have to be as accurate. If he gets that, sure, I could maybe see him, fitting in somewhere. But I'm a little bit concerned that Anthony Richardson doesn't really have the natural skill set to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL. I would love to be wrong. I would love to see him kind of put it together, but I have my doubts about Anthony Richardson at this level.
Yeah, Danny, the thing of interest is, too, that Minnesota clearly wanted Daniel Jones back, and his choice was to come here because he felt the opportunity was going to be available. Ultimately, it was, and now you look at Minnesota without J.J. McCarthy, and Carson Wentz, who used to be here, is now there going to get the start. It's funny how things work out, and this certainly through 2 weeks here in Indy with Daniel Jones has worked out for the better, without question.
Yeah, it's a wild ride in NFL quarterback circles. The quarterback's carousel is real. I saw Jameis Winston, who was third string, potentially in the market to, potentially go start for the Cincinnati Bengals, who are looking for quarterbacks now. You never know when your opportunity is going to come, and you better be ready to take it. And I do think Daniel Jones made a great decision to go to Indy because I did think the opportunity was going to be there. Playing with a chip on his shoulder, I think it's a great opportunity for him.
Dusty and Danny, it's weekday morning, 6 until 9. You can find Danny Canel on Sirius XM college football show. Also, Cover 3 podcast weekdays, CBS Sports HQ. He's a valuable college and professional resource for us here. Danny Canel's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Man, let's do this again. I appreciate you more than you know. We'll see what happens down in Bloomington on Saturday, but it should be fun.
Oh, it should be a blast. Enjoy that game. Enjoy the weekend. It's always great being on with you.
You got it. Danny Canel on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. That is a quality dude right there. We love having him on. Valuable resource. Danny Canel, the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Let's take a break. We shall return. Michael Pittman Jr. joins us coming up on the show tomorrow. So, we were talking about with Danny Canel, Daniel Jones. And it's funny, Michael Pittman Jr. referenced Daniel Jones so far proving people wrong in the post-game scrum coming off a Sunday. We'll talk about that and more with Michael Pittman Jr. on the show tomorrow. We're going to be live in our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots on the north side. Clearwater Crossing, the District Tap. Me and Bryn Holverson tomorrow. We'll start things at 3. We'll do our picks in the 4 o'clock hour, our Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots for week number 3 coming up tomorrow. District Tap, Clearwater Crossing, north side. Join us there. And as I mentioned, Michael Pittman Jr. is on the show coming up tomorrow. Harris Hoosier Park race of the day, not too far away, less than 15 minutes. Your chance to win 50 in betting, 50 in dining, courtesy of Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Your chance to win is not too far away with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John, for Big Red Liquors, 100-plus locations, state of Indiana. One near you, BigRedLiquors.com. You'll also find the Red Hot deals and the Speakeasy deals at BigRedLiquors.com. Big games deserve big deals. Are you ready? Big bottle features include Malibu Rum 175s. You'll save $7, only $19.99. Dewar's Scotch 175s, a savings of $5. That's just $29.99. And how about the big deals on whiskey? And this is one of my all-time favorites right here, and you guys will love it too. In fact, we'll probably have some coming up tomorrow. Heaven Hill 7-year bottle and bond. This is top shelf choice. $47.99. You'll save $10 on that at Big Red Liquors. Big Red Liquors powers the JMV Takeover every Saturday night on B105.7. And there's a location near you. The Red Hot deals, the Speakeasy deals, and all that I just talked about, you can find it online, BigRedLiquors.com. Hey, John here for Express Pro Tire and Auto. It's your 13 Central Indiana Joe Childers operated location. Shout out to my man Mike, US 31, Stop 11, making sure my vehicles are maintained, especially a truck. And they have given it extra life. I am talking $375K on the truck. They can help you maintain as well, or at least maintain late summer, early fall road readiness from the best deals you're going to find anywhere in Central Indiana on tires. Plus, brakes and brake pads. Get that oil changed to maintain the life expectancy of your car, truck, or van. Fluid exchanges and more. Simply put, your local Express Pro Tire and Auto, your 13 Central Indiana Joe Childers operated locations, the absolute best to go to maintain. And that's late summer, early fall road readiness. To find that location nearest you, that's expresspro.com today.
Miles, of course. That's impossible. They're on instruments. This is going to be a real sweat.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I think they're playing together. I think everyone's dialed in every day. Like I said, they're playing for one another. The camaraderie is great. You can feel it in this building. They get together a lot, go to dinners during the week. And I think that pays dividends. And these guys are playing together at a high level. And we got to continue that and, demand it every week and stay disciplined in our approach.
Colts head coach Shane Steichen, 2-0 of the Colts in Nashville versus the Titans. Tennessee 0-2 on the season. That is coming up on Sunday. Colts pregame huddle in studio with me and Bill and Casey coming up on Sunday as well. We'll get you there with countdown to kick off the normalcy. But for the first time in the regular season, a road game for the Colts. Again, in Nashville. That is coming up on Sunday. I should remind you, there's no Bullseye event group party down there. There has been in the past. There is not one. But Bullseye does have one in Southern California. I talked to Kyle Kanell yesterday. And evidently, a week from Saturday, there is a direct flight to L.A., and there will be a Bullseye party prior to the game at SoFi against the Rams in week number 4. So that's something we may knock around idea-wise if that interest is there coming up next week. Michael Pittman Jr. joins the show coming up tomorrow. The show is going to be on the north side, Clearwater crossing the District Tap for our Larceny Bourbon Locks. And Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Did I read this accurately? Is that Thursday night game on Amazon Prime featuring Buffalo and Miami? Is that it? I don't have the schedule in front of me. I believe that is the accurate schedule. Is it not?
I'm waiting on it to. There it is. All right,
Buffalo
and Miami.
Yep. So if Buffalo beats the hell out of Miami, is that going to be it for Mike McDaniel? Maybe. Is that going to be it Thursday?
You'd have to think that they might consider it, especially if they get blown out by Buffalo, which I fully expect them to do.
Yeah,
I think you might be highly likely to see McDaniel on the chopping block there.
Do you have your social media platform X up?
I can pull it up here in a second.
Go to @RetroNewsNow. @RetroNewsNow on. I liked it better when it was called Twitter. Now scroll down. I'm looking. Play that right there, would you, in its entirety? See if people can recognize this.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann, and I'll be right back with one to grow on.
What the hell was that?
This date in 1983. This is another wheelhouse for Generation Xers out there, so I'm not surprised James has no idea what that was. NBC, and this is when Saturday morning cartoons were still a thing, which I don't even think they're a thing anymore, are they? There's no more Saturday morning cartoons. NBC launched its One to Grow On public service announcements, which aired between cartoons during NBC's Saturday morning lineup. The PSAs, James, were hosted by a star from one of NBC's primetime programs and focused on safety and ethical dilemmas. And that, what you just heard, was Nancy McKeon, who played Joe Polnicek on the series Facts of Life.
Kind of just looked like a fever dream.
One to Grow On. This date in 83. It is hard to believe. There's so many things aren't the same. Why did they have to take away the Saturday morning cartoon stuff? That's
probably because people stopped tuning in because there was streaming and you can just access whatever show you want. So I'd imagine
we're
that's
all
why they
worse
pulled
for
it.
that. I wish we slightly lived in a world to where the timing of things matter, you know? Where you can't wait or do it out of your own. We're all way too damn convenient.
There was a certain special feeling about waking up when you were younger, waking up on a Saturday and running to go watch cartoons.
There's no doubt about that.
Kids
Knew the
today don't get
lineups
that.
by heart. So whether it's NBC, CBS had Bugs Bunny and the Roadrunner Hour. Overture, Gerber Lights.
Did you ever watch like Boomerang or anything like that?
Oh,
Boomerang?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I was a big fan of the Scooby-Doo Where Are You? And those are the first two seasons of Scooby-Doo, 69 and 70. I think they're the most entertaining. And then it completely jumped the shark when they had that little pain-in-the-ass Scrappy-Doo on there. Nobody's watching that. But no. And then they went through a phase where they had guest stars.
Did you ever watch the live-action Scooby-Doo movie where they turned Scrappy-Doo into the bad guy?
Of course not.
No? Okay.
Of course not. But no, the Scooby-Doo Where Are Yous are pretty solid. Especially the first season in 1969 of it. But no, this date in 1983, and a lot of you that are my age or in and around my age would recollect NBC's One to Grow On public service announcement series. That's pretty good stuff right there. One to Grow On. JMV, stream-friendly TV, and you've got all the mentioned cartoons every day. But I want to have to schedule a little bit. I don't mind it. I agree. I mean, everything's just too damn easy now. JMV, I thought for a second you were going to play the Sergio Valente Jeans. We love you, Sergio. That's great. Hey, JMV, regarding your conversation with Danny Canel a moment ago, what if they end up winning their conference? Not a bad look for IU in the schedule after all. Here's my thought. And I use this all the time in terms of Kurt Signetti and how he's handled the quarterback, whether he was at James Madison or in Bloomington, and how he's handled the schedule after his first year in Bloomington and that incredible level of success. Why change if something is working for you? And I use the quote from Tin Cup. You ride it until it bucks you, or you don't ride at all. Now, if circumstances have an effect, an ill effect, then change it. But I wouldn't give a damn what everybody else is saying about it. See what the results hold, and then play off of it. Continue it if that success is still there, and if you have to adjust it at some point in time. Yeah, I find no reason to challenge that. In the present, especially. So we shall see. I thought Danny Canel was really good with his breakdown of Illinois and IU coming up on Saturday night. The Notre Dame issues, Arch Manning getting booed in Austin, those issues as well. And a little bit from a former New York Giants quarterback on the transformation after 6 seasons and 20 games below 500 of Daniel Jones with the Giants, and these first 2 games under center as the starting quarterback for the Colts. Good stuff. If you missed any of it, podcast with Danny Canel, 1075thefan.com. Just outstanding work. Chad Huff says, I remember rushing off the bus to watch X-Men on Channel 38. Hey, here's one that's great, and I have this running for a JMV takeover as an intro, the ABC or the after-school specials. Some of the greatest content of all time. For example, in the ABC after-school special. Just great stuff. Underage drinking, weed smoking, pregnancy, sexual activity, it covered all the bases. That's great. I love that stuff. And you can see a lot of actors, notable actors involved in those things. The after-school specials. Indeed. rushing off the bus. Right there with you on that. Hey, afternoon baseball taking place earlier today. The mammoth disappointing end of the season is on the inbound for the Reds. They do get a win 6-2 today. Cubs 8-4 over the Pirates. White Sox a 3-1 loser to the Orioles. And I believe you still have some games that are ongoing right now. Actually, a couple. Giants, Diamondbacks, no score, bottom of the ninth inning, top of 6, Nationals 3, Braves 1 as we approach the end of the regular season and the start of the MLB postseason. And get ready, too, because to watch MLB, you're going to have streaming services and all that crap coming up, too, as we found out yesterday with Rob Manfred. So be ready. Much like, now you're really going to get a heavy dose of it in the NBA. You're going to be all over the stream map to make sure you get all your NBA coverage this year. Be prepped. All right, location tomorrow and on Friday where you can join the show. Hopefully you do. Michael Pittman Jr. joins us on the show coming up tomorrow. Brent Halverson tomorrow as well at the District Tap with Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Again, that is coming up tomorrow. But right now, 50 in betting, 50 in dining. The Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. If you have a horse, you could be a winner. Horse racing going on now through November at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Here it is, your Wednesday Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day.
Any special message for all the kids watching at home?
Stay out of trouble. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a tough player. I think on the one where they had the helmet-to-helmet on him last week, I mean, he popped his lip and he was bleeding on the sideline, but it didn't even faze him. Like, he just like, here we go. I think he's tough. He stands in there and delivers the ball with accuracy. He's been doing a hell of a job for us.
Shane Steichen talking about Daniel Jones' first 2 weeks of the season. He has been outstanding. Danny Canel joined us a little bit earlier, and we talked about that very thing. About, obviously, Illinois IU on Saturday, but also about Daniel Jones. 6 years in New York and now 2 games with the Colts and how he has looked so far. Harris Hoosier Park race of the day. Jacob is the winner with Shady Maple Chick. That paid $4.80, $2 bet, $2 exact to $29.80, 50-cent try, $15.25. Well done, Jacob. 50 in betting, 50 in dining. Tuesday through Friday, up for grabs. It is the Harris Hoosier Park race of the day. You pick a horse we send out before the start of the show, and you could win. Celebrate that win as well with horse racing going on now through November at Harris Hoosier Park Racing at Casino in Anderson. That is your Harris Hoosier Park race of the day. Win Schuler's spreadability. You can find it. Evidently, I've now been made aware the Avon Meyer, the Carmel Meyer, and the Muncie Meyer all have the spreadability of Win Schuler's cheeses. Original sharp cheddar, bacon and cheddar, and jalapeno pepper. That's Win Schuler's spreadability for the football season 2025, just for whatever the occasion calls for in this case, whether it's a tailgate or just some simple at-home snacking for you. Win Schuler's spreadability. Make sure you tell us where you can find the spreadability as well. Win Schuler's cheeses for 2025 here in Central Indiana. Tomorrow's show, as I mentioned, is going to be at the District Tap. Clearwater Crossing. It'll be a busy show per usual. Me and Brent will do our picks. I'm assuming Michael, the owner, will be there too. Mike Chappell in the 5 o'clock hour had a respiratory issue, and he did have that. I know for sure as I saw him in the press box on Sunday. Should be good to go with us tomorrow, and Michael Pittman Jr. will join us on the show coming up tomorrow as well. Colts wide receiver. District Tap, Clearwater Crossing with 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan coming up tomorrow. Here he is, our guy. Fulton is at 239-1070. Hello, Fulton.
Hello, John. How are you this
Fulton,
evening?
I'm outstanding. Thank you for asking.
Yep, got my rehearsal for tomorrow, so.
I thought you already had your rehearsal.
Well, I was supposed to, I'm not doing the dancing this year, but I'm doing the singing tomorrow, so.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. So you're
Yep.
singing tomorrow is what you're saying.
Yep, singing for the rehearsal tomorrow.
All right, then.
Yep, and my mom's going to be out of town. She's going to Tennessee. We're going to go see that movie, Lights This Ward, so it's like a Christian movie, so.
Okay. It sounds like you got some plans rolling there, buddy.
And I heard you guys were talking about Earth, Wind, and Fire today.
We were. September. And we even brought up your ukulele exclusive remix for the JMV takeover, too. That is the 21st of September is on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll be ready for that. I mean,
bet you will.
It's going to be a good show, and hopefully you guys can watch it.
All right. My brother, I appreciate you. Thanks, Fulton.
Yep. Thanks, John.
Go get it with your audition. JMV, your Saturday morning cartoon mention reminded me of Cowboy Bob's Corral. After-school cartoons on Channel 4, late 70s. Do you recall? I also believe this is courtesy of BT Do. 8 years ago today, Cowboy Bob, I believe, passed away. So absolutely. Channel 4. Channel 4, you go back then, I don't know how we would have made it without the original local content of Channel 4. We wouldn't have made it. Simply put, think about back then, before we had all these options now, what you would have done without Channel 4. And I mean everything. Entertainment, including sports, basketball, for example. we would have been screwed. Thank you forever, the greatness of the former, and it's Channel 4 CBS now, but back then, TTV4. Legendary. James, thank you very much. Kevin Bowen. Danny Canel, podcast with each, 1075thefan.com. Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots tomorrow. Clearwater Crossing, District Tap, Brent Holverson, me, Michael Pittman Jr., and more. Cannot wait to see you tomorrow starting at 3. Have a great night.